Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Tomar, the CEO at Vee24. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me, Christian.
So excited to meet you. Please tell us what your company does.
Sure. Well, Vee24 is a US-based SaaS company. We have a suite of customer engagement tools, basically helping companies improve how they engage with customers who are visiting their website.
What did you say is the biggest problem to solve for companies?
Well, I think the biggest problem is that people come to websites, they don't find what they need, they don't carry out transactions. I can give a few examples to illustrate with different industry verticals. Let's start with a B2B use case. So when someone comes to visit the Vee24 website, it's very likely that they would leave without actually doing anything. Many companies like us resort to contact forms where if someone is interested, you expect them to click on a contact us button, for example, and then leave their information, and then someone from the team will get back to them with an email.
Yeah,
Instead, what we propose and what we help many of our customers do is different types of engagement in order to get people what they're looking for instantly. So everyone's familiar with chatbots. We have a chatbot as well. Chatbots are really good for some very simple operations, but it's really easy to get frustrated with a chatbot. So one of the unique things about our chatbot is that from the chatbot interaction, you can upgrade to have a text or video conversation with an actual human. So again, instead of sending someone to the contact form, we try to get people to engage with our team either over text or video instantly on the website without having to download any software or anything of that nature.
that's awesome.
On the B2C use case, it's even more interesting. So if you're out there, for example, on a retail site shopping for a product, there are many products that you want to see, and it's always nicer to be able to see it on video. So if you want to, let's say, buy one of these mugs, being able to talk to an agent on the mug manufacturer's website and being able to
Well,
see what it looks like in someone's hand, being able to see the logo, etc., is very useful. We work a lot in high-end retail with jewelry and watches. Automotive is a big industry vertical for us. Any type of product that has value in seeing it. The other group, which I think really benefits, is when seeing the person you're speaking with adds a lot of value. So you can imagine if you're speaking with your financial advisor, for example, it makes a lot more sense to be able to see the person, makes things easier. It's for the same reason that we all use, we're recording this
yeah,
over video today, and we're using Zoom for all of our conference calls today. And there are a lot of nice features that can be added along with it. For example, co-browsing to be able to share your screen, to be able to co-form fill a form that's on the screen. So making things easier for supporting customers, for selling products, and for interaction.
that's fantastic. And what would you say are the most important functionalities or feature of the product?
One of the things that we do that's unique, because there are many companies in our space, especially in the chatbot space, there are many companies. We provide a full suite. So as I mentioned before, there's the chatbot, there is the
Okay.
text chat, voice, and video.
Mm-hmm.
And then in addition to that, there's also co-browsing technology and also a scheduling technology. Any one of those on their own is not very unique, and there are many companies that do it, but I believe we're the only ones that provide that entire suite to follow the customer through the entire journey. And by doing so, we make it easier for our customers to implement the software and to get started very easily with a solution.
That's awesome. So people can come to Vee24 and get the full suite and don't have to worry about other problems. Yeah, I love to hear some happy customers, some successful stories.
Sure. So we work with a wide range of different use cases.
Yeah.
Retail is very big. As I mentioned before, there's a lot of value in being able to see the product. So we work with a very large luxury watch and jewelry retailer, a global company. They have stores all over the world. One of the things that they do, which is really cool, is they can you can call them and speak with someone at the contact center. They
Mm-hmm.
actually don't use video in that use case to show the product. You're just speaking with someone, and because it's a high consideration type of transaction. You're buying a $10,000 or $50,000 watch. It adds a lot of confidence to the consumer to be able to see who they're speaking with. So video is really big. And they also leverage the co-browsing technology, showing the different products on the website. So the agent, the person working for the retailer, is able to browse the customer through the different pages on the website. When they have a question, they can show them on the website, or they can even grab different documents and show on their screen to get into detail. Now, one of the really cool things that they can do, they're planning on doing, is being able to transfer from the contact center to an associate who's actually at the store. So we will set up their store associates with access as well on our mobile app, and then they could show them the products in the store. And we like to say we're bringing the in-person experience online. So that same experience that you get when you visit a store, a brick and mortar location, you can also get on the website. And in many cases, like in luxury goods and automotive, it's really important to connect between the initial conversation that happens remotely to the subsequent meeting in store, either by appointment or just a walk-in that comes into the store later.
That's incredible. Fantastic. And what is the pricing for Vee24?
So it's a per seat model. We do have packages to begin really small. Especially for B2B use cases, we are very interested in working more with tech companies like ourselves. We think there is a big gap in the market at the moment with the fact that there are these contact forms out there, and everyone's using a very antiquated method of connecting with their customers. So we have a very low cost package to get started really quickly for tech companies. For the larger, let's say the retail companies, the businesses that sell to consumers, it's a per seat model depending on how many agents are engaged concurrently.
How competitive is the customer experience space?
I think so. We don't see many competitors when we're speaking with customers. The conversation we're having with a prospect is typically about how can they do it, and not so much whether they want to choose us or a different vendor.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would say that there is a lot of noise out there, and there are hundreds of companies in our space that do things that are a bit different, but maybe for the initial conversation, it's a little bit confusing for someone who wants to do something. Or even worse, when they get a short email from us or a message on LinkedIn trying to engage, it's very difficult, I think, to discern what exactly is it that we do and how are we different from the other 100 companies that are also in the space. So it's a busy space, many companies, but we don't compete much with vendors that do exactly the same thing that we do. That's not really a big thing for us.
So one of the challenges would be education and explaining the product, right? Showcasing it.
Yes, I think so. It's interesting. Something that really I'm only 6 months in the role, so I'm still relatively new. One of the things that has really surprised me as I'm learning and speaking with more of our customers is that it seems that here in the U.S. we're a little bit behind Western Europe and the U.K.
Mm-hmm.
So in almost all of our conversations in the U.S., where it's a new project with a new implementation. We're not replacing an incumbent solution. So much of the challenge is more of an operational and a logistics one, which is, okay, how do we get the people in place? How do we transition people who are accustomed to answering phone calls to answering over video? How do we set up the camera, everything from the camera to the workstation, et cetera? Not so much about the competition. In Europe, it's a little bit different because for some reason it seems like Europe and the UK are a little bit ahead, a few years ahead, and there we may be replacing an existing solution, especially when it comes to text chat.
Can you share with us the story of the company, how it was founded, the mission?
Sure. So we're a little bit unique in that sense. So the company was originally in its first form founded around 2007.
Okay.
And then eventually, it was initially a professional services agency, and eventually it made its way in 2011 to becoming Vee24 and becoming a software as a service company.
Okay.
And it was founded in the UK, so our largest office, and most of our employees are just south of Manchester in England. That's where the company was founded. And about 10 years ago, the founders relocated the headquarters to Boston, which is Boston, Massachusetts, which is where I'm located,
Mm-hmm.
as part of the fundraising activities. So over time, we transitioned from being UK headquartered to US headquartered. Still, a majority of our customers are in the UK and in Europe. But we're now investing in growing. One of the reasons why I joined the company was to really invest and grow on the US side. The mission of the company is very simple. We want to help bring the in-person experience online. And the story of how it began is actually an interesting one. The
Okay.
first customer that Vee24 helped was Lexus, the car manufacturer, part of Toyota.
Oh.
And they had a very tough task ahead of them. They were about to launch in the German market. And you can imagine Lexus, Japanese luxury car manufacturer, is launching in Germany, where you have Mercedes and BMW, for many years.
Yeah.
So they obviously had very, very difficult competition, especially to penetrate the market. And as part of that, they decided that they're going to excel in the customer experience. And this is still, very early days when it comes to people using the web, and especially video on the web was still in its very early stages, around the time of when YouTube started, 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
And as part of that, the original team at Vee24 helped them build that experience. And when it comes to buying a car, there's definitely a little bit of a gap between what the information you can get over the phone versus coming into the dealership and actually seeing the vehicle. So being able to arm the dealers with a video camera and then have them speak with potential customers over video really makes a big difference. And that's what got the company started, eventually working with other auto manufacturers
Makes sense.
that everyone is familiar with, and eventually into other verticals as well.
Thank you so much for sharing. How big is your team right now?
We are only 20 people, so we're very small. We've actually cut back quite a bit in recent years as part of a reset that I'm leading. One of the changes that we made was we brought all of our employees in-house. So we were working in the past with a number of outsourced agencies. Currently, we are not. So all our employees are proper V24 employees. And we resized a little bit. We did this reset, and now we're entering another period of growth after that.
And why did you do that? Was it security reasons?
No, not security. The company had a lot of turnover. There were many changes, and when I was brought in back in December, I think the best way to characterize it is that things were very messy. There was a lot of inefficiency. People didn't know what others were doing, and we wanted to kind of say, okay, stop, let's clean up.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing over the past 6 months. It's sort of like hitting the reset button, and now we're well positioned to continue to grow. One of the things that was very clear to me, and one of the reasons that I was very interested in joining, is that the customers have always been incredibly happy with the solution, and almost all of our customers have been customers for many years. Not even one, two, or three, and very uncommon in the SaaS space. So
Yeah,
there is
exactly.
this incredible customer loyalty, and also the same is true for the employees. We have maybe half the team has been with the company for 10 years or so. So very, very unique type of loyalty and a lot of institutional knowledge that was very important to us. But now we've kind of established that very strong foundation, the base, and now we're going to build on top of it.
I think that's the goal of every founder. But how do you think they made it that way? To have loyal customers, loyal employees. What do you think was their secret?
I don't think it's anything very, very special or innovative. It's I think focusing on the customer. So we really emphasize trying to be in front of our customers as much as possible, holding quarterly business review meetings. Something that I've always done in my career, so it's very natural to me. But I think it's critical. Again, not nothing nothing too creative here when it comes to that. The product does what it's supposed to do, and we're not trying to continuously expand it to do more and more things. I think many companies are too aggressive in trying to expand horizontally, and as a result, dilute the value as well. And I've heard from many of our customers that they've been frustrated with other solutions that are trying to do more and more, but not really doing the core of what they're supposed to do very well. So we're very much focused on the core of what we do. We listen to our customers to get feedback and really try to align our roadmaps with our customers' roadmaps. And I think the key to that is having regular meetings and communication to ensure that we're all aligned.
I appreciate the transparency. Are the founders still involved in the business actively?
No, so the founders are have been gone for quite some time. There has been some turnover in the leadership. So I
Mm.
mentioned I'm 6 months in. The leadership team before me were in for about 2 years. And then there was actually one more round of leadership that was before them, and the founders had left
Oh,
before
wow.
them.
Wow.
So there's been actually quite a bit. Again, we're kind of atypical in that sense. We're not founder led, but um, but many of the employees have been with the company since the beginning, more than 10 years, which is quite unique.
And what has been the last founding round? Funding round? Is it
Um,
Series A
so
or?
we did a Series B back in
Okay.
2019, so
Mm.
about 4 years ago.
And are you planning to raise any more?
We don't have immediate plans. We're actually very much working towards being cash flow positive, so there isn't a pressing need to raise more money. But in terms of kind of longer term plans, I do think we will eventually want to grow more aggressively and bring in some more funding, but that's probably not in the next 6 to 12 months.
Hmm. What has been your biggest personal challenge since joining the company?
Well, this is my first CEO role. So in my last two roles, I've been a sales leader. I was a chief revenue officer. I was a VP sales at a public company, larger public company as well. So this is the first CEO role. I was a general manager in the past, and I come from a product background, so I've been more involved in engineering, but that was more than 10 years ago. So um, it's been an interesting experience having to spend time and deal with challenges across all the different functions of the business.
Yeah.
From the finance side, engineering, obviously, QA. So that's been very interesting and fueling my need for interesting challenges. I very much wanted it, and I'm enjoying it. We have, as I mentioned, a kind of a long history, and joining as the new person, trying to understand what happened in the past, especially when we have uh, two teams, one in Boston and the other in northern England, and they're quite separate from each other. That can introduce some challenges which have been interesting.
Yeah.
But I think typical challenges of joining a new company, everyone deals with, and it's always fun. Now that I'm 6 months in, kind of I feel like I'm one of the team and no longer the new person. And one of the things that I've been very deliberate about since day one is being incredibly transparent with the team. So we've introduced a lot of systems that make sure that everyone has access to everything that they should have access to. Everything is always available. I very much do so with all the tools that we use to manage the leadership. We use an OKR framework, for example. So that's all available for all employees. We very much try to use Slack as much as possible so that people can see conversations that are happening that should be available to them. We transitioned from a lot of Microsoft-based files that were stored on people's computers
Uh,
to Google, to everything on Google, and everyone has access to shared drives. So that's been I think pretty transformative for the company because again, company with over 10 years of legacy, there's always a lot of bad habits that have kind of stuck around, lingered from long ago, and being able to be the new person that comes in and have the opportunity to update a lot of things has been both challenging and very rewarding at the same time.
that's super important, and I think it's a great step to start, especially after those multiple layers of leadership. I was curious to know one key KPI that you track for your SaaS business.
One KPI that we track.
Yeah.
So we track a lot of the typical ones. One of the things that I look very carefully at is revenue backlog, which I know that some companies don't track as carefully. We want to make sure that we're not only increasing our ARR and um, you know obviously retention rates and things of that nature, but also the business has kind of a runway of revenue moving forward. So we're constantly increasing the revenue that we're going to be recognizing next year as well. That's something that I've always really looked at. Other than that, ARR and our gross retention rate as well, I think is important to look at. And we do a lot of also customer satisfaction tracking. Our tool does it for
Of course.
us and also for our customers. So at the end of every engagement, there is a little survey form that we have on our own website if anyone interacts with our team. Um, another thing that's probably worth mentioning that is kind of top of mind at the moment, and generally since I joined the company, is making sure that we have a good flow of inbound leads, and also that our prospecting activities are generating leads for us. And we try to use our own technology as much as possible for that as well. And crazy to crazy to it was crazy for me to realize that when I joined the company, we weren't using our own technology on our website. So that changed basically on day two for me. And once we switched it on, and you can go to Vee24.com and see we have an icon on the bottom right of the screen with actually Hannah from our team is there, and there's like this animated GIF where she's waving, and it says "Chat
Yeah.
with us." Click here on this button, and by having that on our website, the flow of inbound engagement increased about 5 times immediately.
Wow.
So that was monumental for us, and being able to measure not only how many are coming in, but also the quality of that engagement and the satisfaction from the prospect side or the customer side is are both critical.
Awesome. I love to hear your future vision for your company.
Our feature vision?
Yeah, a
Oh,
future
future
vision.
vision.
Future vision. Yeah.
Um, so I guess there are different fronts. So from a growth perspective, we're expecting, as I mentioned before, we're in the process of completing this reset that we did over the last 6 months, and we plan to start growing rapidly over the next 6 to 12 months. I hope to double the size or so of our recurring revenue, start hiring new team members as well. In terms of the product, there's a lot of new technology and a lot of different use cases that we're looking at. Co-browsing is really interesting, and it's really underutilized in many industries. For example, in financial services, there is very little co-browsing that's being used, and we have a number of financial services customers, mostly banks that have this huge opportunity at hand, and they're really looking at at what impact it can have once they switch it on. So investing more in the co-browsing and in having seamless experiences when speaking about secure topics like your financial information. So that's kind of the technology and the growth. Um, our customers are in many cases leveraging one part of our technology and have an opportunity to expand quite a bit. We recently launched a mobile app that can be used in retail use cases by in-store associates more conveniently. So rather than having a person sitting at a workstation, they can take calls or have calls transferred to an iPad or an iPhone and being able to walk around the show floor in dealership and auto dealerships, being able to go into the car. We work with a number of car manufacturers where that's a critical part of their roadmap as they're transitioning to a direct to consumer model,
Mm.
rather than having people coming in to the dealership to buy a car. We're now buying cars online. You know, Tesla, I think, really pushed that. We work with a number of the newer OEMs, very similar to Tesla, that are kind of providing that same experience of you go onto the website, you configure the car you want, you can speak with an associate over a video, and they can guide you through the process, but you're actually never going into a dealership. So being able to provide that seamless experience, obviously the salesperson needs to have a mobile device in order to be able to go into the car and to show the different features.
And how do you think that AI will impact your business? Because ChatGPT is a chatbot. There are a lot of customer experience tools that their main feature is being a chatbot, adding a chatbot to your website. How do you think AI will impact your business?
Yeah, it's an interesting topic for us. So we have a chatbot. We use a third party technology. The underlying technology is a Google technology that we use, and we have looked at OpenAI's API actually before even before ChatGPT made the news, and it's there is a little bit of an opportunity there, but really the core of our value proposition is the human to human connection rather than
Correct.
the AI or the chatbot. So there is a little bit of AI, but the way I view it is, well, let's use a retail use case because it's everyone buys stuff online, right? So maybe if you visit the website, you're checking in to see where your order is, when your order will arrive. That's a really good use case for a chatbot. So you can type into the chatbot, where's my order? The chatbot asks you, what's your order number? For example, you type in the order number. It may navigate you using co-browsing to the order tracking page. Maybe on, so that's where the co-browsing comes into play. Maybe on the order tracking page, you have an opportunity to type in your order number. But those types of simple interactions, kind of like FAQ type interactions, are really good for chatbots in our world. When it goes beyond that, where you would, when you say ChatGPT, that's typically what people think of, the creativity or the ability to answer questions that aren't require a little bit of thought, basically.
Yeah.
That's where we think the human side is really missing from those experiences, and people very quickly get frustrated with what chatbots provide. So yes, there is an opportunity to do some simple back and forth with a chatbot. OpenAI, ChatGPT, maybe there may be opportunities for us to integrate with it a little bit. But the real value in what we do is kind of it's the inverse of that. It's being able to have that human to human connection, which I believe is missing from many of the online experiences, and trying to automate it all works for some things, but it really fails in others. And that's where we come in. So to supplement the human to human with whatever technology you already have in place.
Absolutely. I absolutely love your perspective. So didn't think about it, but it's so awesome. Yeah, because we need to humanize the experience from one point. So wow. Yeah. I
And
have,
it could very well be a combination of the two, right? You start off with a
yeah,
chatbot, and then once the chatbot detects that you're not getting what you need, you're getting a little frustrated. That's when the chatbot will offer you, would you like to speak with someone on the team? And we have the technology to upgrade the chatbot conversation into a human to human conversation. So that's really where we're different from other solutions out there.
exactly, because we want to use AI to work with humans, not replace people, because it's all about
Yes.
people. Absolutely. Yeah. I have one last question for you. What's your favorite SaaS product apart from V24?
So we use a lot of the Google Suite, and I think it works really well. And the collaboration is second to none. The collaboration opportunity. So I would say we use that a lot. Is it my favorite? Yeah, I guess I would say it's my favorite. It's certainly something that I use, at least 10 times a day, and adds a lot of value to us.
Is there anything else that you want to mention on today's podcast?
Well, first of all, again, thank you for inviting me. It's always fun to have conversations. Of course, anyone can come check us out, Vee24.com. It's Vee24.com. And I'm especially interested. So we've been trying something a little bit new, and that's the B2B use cases, especially for tech companies. And I imagine many of the people listening to this or watching this are at SaaS companies, at tech companies. And just think for a moment about sending people who come to your website to a contact form, and then what ensues following them filling out the contact form, which is not a great experience of having this back and forth over email, trying to schedule a meeting. It's just antiquated, and it doesn't make sense in 2023. So that's kind of the last thought I'll leave you and your listeners with.
Thank you so much for joining. I'm really grateful. You did great.
Okay, thanks.